Hello guys, my name is Viviana Virueta, and an issue that I believe has been affecting today's society is mental illness, and not any kind of mental illness but depression. I also believe that this issue has been portrayed in Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein. So mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. So in the novel, the novel conveys that Victor is experiencing an illness. Although it is not specific, it is easy to recognize that it is a mental issue. He isolates himself from the outside world while spending more time in his laboratory. He becomes more secluded mentally and physically. He becomes more intrigued in the discoveries of science and being able to create life. He begins to disassociate himself with people in society, even his loved ones. And that type of behavior is an early sign of schizophrenia. Because of Victor's actions and his love of knowledge, this caused him to fall into a severe case of depression. And depression is feelings of severe despondency and dejection. After this obsession that Victor had with creating this creature, and when he realized that it did fail because it was hideous and it was nothing like he imagined it to be, he collapsed. He even put his health at stake. He ignored his family, he ignored his fiancée, and he just excluded himself from the whole world. Okay, so some of the signs of depression that I found throughout the novel to support my point of view is in Volume 2, Chapter 1. After William's death, Victor says, "Nothing is more painful to the human mind than after the feelings have been worked up by a quick succession of events." He also says that he is seized by remorse. He also says, "I shunned the face of man. All the sound of joy or complacency was torture to me. Solitude was my only consolation. Deep, dark, death-like solitude." Those are some very dark phrases spoken by Victor. He was at a very dark stage in his life. He found no meaning of happiness. From what I have said already, we already know that Victor obviously falls in a stage of depression. He first fails at his lifelong dream of creating a creature, creating life. He also loses his loved one, William, and he also is the reason why Justine died. Also, after the points that I have brought up, I can obviously see that Victor does fall into a stage of depression, at least in my point of view. There's also other characters that were suffering through depression. For example, Victor's father and Elizabeth also suffered of depression. So when Justine and William died, Victor's father and Elizabeth suffered a lot. It hurt them because it was their kids, their loved ones, and they risked their health because of this depression. As you can see, depression is a very life-threatening issue that someone can go through. And one of the final characters I'm going to use as an example is the creature itself. The creature says, "I am alone and miserable." The monster realizes that he is alone from society and humanity and is depressed because he says he's not able to do anything about it. He feels alone, hopeless, and worthless. When people feel alone, those are the first thoughts that come to mind. That there's no one around, that you're worthless and no one wants you. You're not accepted. And that is exactly how the creature was feeling. He had no one to confide in, and he did not know what to feel but sad and remorse. And those are symptoms of depression. But not only did the characters go through a lot throughout the novel, Mary Shelley, the author, also lived quite a life. At age 16, she eloped, and she suffered through many experiences of death in her life. She had plenty of miscarriages, and her only daughter that was actually born died a couple days after. And she also lost her half-sister. She committed suicide at a young age. Also, Mary Shelley's marriage wasn't the happiest marriage, you can say. Her husband also cheated on her. So you can assume that Mary Shelley was depressed with so many incidents that happened to her life. And it is the reason why she made such a tragedy of a novel, with the setting and the theme being so dark and lonely. I think that is the reason why this novel is very dark and very gloomy and sad, and so many events happen, from the creator being destroyed by its own creature, and just there's no happy ending at the end. So I think there's all signs of depression. Today's society suffers of depression. According to everydayhealth.com, 9% of Americans adults have a sense of hopelessness, despondency, and or guilt. Depression is the major disability between the ages of 15 and 44. Depression rates in the United States and worldwide are increasing every year. Depression can be considered a worldwide epidemic, with 5% of the global population suffering, according to the World Health Organization. Depression may increase the risks of other illnesses. Lieberman says depression is anger turned inward toward the self. This anger is self-destructive and therefore harmful to the body. According to NIMH, depression affects more than 40% of those with post-traumatic stress disorder, 25% of those who have cancer, 50% of those with Parkinson's disease, 27% with substance abuse problems, 50 to 75% with eating disorders, and 33% with those who have had a heart attack. Okay. Depression is a very serious issue. It is involved in more than 2/3 of the 300,000 suicides that occur in the United States every year. Suicide is the third leading cause of death. Untreated depression is the number one risk of suicide among youth. It is the third leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 24, and is the 14th leading cause of death between the ages of 10 and 14. So what does this say about depression? It is a huge issue worldwide, and it is something very serious that many people go through, even the young population, without us even knowing. It was a huge issue back in the 1800s when Mary Shelley was writing this novel, and it is a huge issue now, and people need to know about it and how serious it has become. Thank you.